So all of this you can help them to do. Okay, guys. So the first step in the interview, introducing yourself. They check if you read about their company or no. They check if you can really help them to protect the company. And that's why I always take you to this point. Okay, when someone asks you in the interview what you're gonna do, is you can tell them I'm be here to protecting your information assets, okay, and preventing and detecting and responding to any attacks. This is what you're gonna do. Or maybe another answer for this question is basically to reduce the risk of cybersecurity. Why? Because basically you guys are relying in technology right now, or most of the companies are relying in technology right now to achieve their objective. Really, I cannot be the biggest retailer. I cannot be the biggest, I cannot be the biggest, for example, bank in the Middle East. I cannot be the biggest, for example, oil and gas company without really relying on IT systems. I'm relying on IT system for ERP system, for finance system, for HR system. So you need someone to reduce the risk of cyber attacks. The problem that's happened in the last few decades, I would say in the last 20 years, is most of our system was become an integral part of the internet. I would not say it's an only a problem. It is there is a good benefits of it, or good benefits of sharing information. You can send an email. You can access your online bank. You can access the oil and gas sales from the production upstream or downstream, oil rigs. You can access it right away because you have an internet connectivity. But at the same time, also internet is coming with a very huge risk, the huge risk of cyber attacks. So you are there basically to really reduce the risk of cyber attacks and ensure the system will be confidential, integral, and you achieve also availability and authenticity and non-repudiation. So you guys understand now when someone asks you about yourself, how you respond to this? Okay, this is a very, this is very important in interview. I know some of you guys, inshallah, before the end of the course, they will be in the interview. I wanted you always to remember this. And I wanted you guys also to read about the company before you do the first interview. Be interested about what they do, okay, and how the IT system are helping them to do this. And you say basically, I'm here to reduce the risk of cyber attacks and ensure system confidentiality, integrity, availability, and non-repudiation and authenticity. Okay, so here it's saying that you need to protect information assets. Okay, now the question is, we say how you can protect the information asset. We understand that you're going to reduce the risk of a cyber attacks. How you can do this? I mentioned last week also there is something called attack timeline. An attack timeline, if you guys look at it, it's just we look at the attacks from before the attacks take place and during the attack and right after the attack. So there is 3 areas: before, okay, during, okay, after. So in order to protect any organization, you need to implement controls. In order to reduce the risk, you need to implement controls. I said there is also different type of risk management, like avoidance and acceptance and transfer, but this is really not very technical thing. Okay, they are hiring you for your technicality. So they wanted you to say, okay, before the attacks takes place, I will make sure that I will implement preventive controls. So preventive controls always in the first early beginning. Okay, I wanted the attackers not be able to really get to my system. So I wanted to keep him away from myself. Okay, like if you have a house, okay, and you worried someone to be inside your house and steal your money, so you will install a lock here. Okay, or maybe you can get a guard and let him to stand in front of this door. Okay, and that means that you are preventing the intruders, preventing the bad guys, okay, to get in. Also, our network systems are the same thing. Okay, we talked about firewalls and how a firewall can stop, unreally. Exactly, can be applied both. Exactly, it can be applied physically and also technicality. Because take the example of house and move it to your banking system, or maybe moving it to your website. I don't want anyone which is not authorized to get to my website. Means I need to implement IEEE. The guard over here, anyone will come to near to your house, he will ask you who you are. Okay, what are you gonna do here? Okay, show me that you are invited to this place. The same thing we can apply it over here as a preventive control, access control. We have talked about IAAA, who you are. Okay, prove your identity to me by using maybe double multi-factor authentication. Okay, and once you are in the system, what you are authorized to do. The same thing, even if you are invited to the house, maybe you are not invited to the bedroom over here. Maybe you are only invited to just sit here in the main lobby until maybe the host of the house will come and meet you. Okay, so this is the same exact thing. Think about our houses and how to secure our houses, or how to secure our very private areas. And then also on the same thing, apply these guys to the online systems. Okay, you will find that almost identical. What we do in reality is being done on online systems. Okay, so always preventive control, guys. So preventive control is all about stopping the attack before it's happened. Okay, let's say that this guard over here decided one day to go maybe and check the supermarket and come quickly. Okay, so this guy was really waiting all this time to see the guard leaving, and then he now is getting inside your house. Okay, so if preventive control couldn't really stop the attack, you should have detecting controls. And detecting controls means that you detect during the attack. Exactly. You must find out what is going on, even if your preventive control failed to protect you. And that could be maybe a camera over here. Okay, and this camera over here is watching what's happening. And maybe this guy over here, that the security guard, okay, saw what's happening in the camera, and now he have to rush again to stop the intruder. In the same way that we have here in our system some logs, and we have some engineers, they are watching these logs all the time. We talked about them, like we called them SOC engineers, and we will talk about SOC in more details in next month when we study a whole course about SOC and how to prevent an attack. But these guys will be sitting here looking at the logs in your system. If they find something suspicious, they will start to investigate. Okay, and the same thing, the camera here, okay, or maybe the motion detection system, or maybe you have a bell here. When someone opens the door, you will be alerted from the inside the house that someone is inside the house. So all of this stuff is detection control. Is basically, that means someone managed to bypass your initial control for prevention, and now you are really in detection mode. And the whole idea behind the detection is really when you detect something malicious, you do something about it, which is basically what we call responding, okay, or we call it recovery. Responding means as soon as you find out about this attack, okay, so what action exactly would take? Okay, and this action, guys, the time of the action is very important. If you guys have seen the game that I gave you yesterday, if you notice that there was a malicious malware inside the network, and they asked you to go inside every single node and try to fix it right away. Okay, you can see if you take a very quick actions, okay, you can stop all the attack quickly. Okay, but if you take a late actions, or you didn't see which machine was infected first, and you took an action, that's mean the malware can spread spread and propagate more and more. Okay, so at that time, responding once you find an incident is very important. And the time of responding is very important, okay? Because if you didn't really take an action quickly, maybe your entire network can be really taken down, or maybe taken by a ransomware. Okay, so this is what we have talked about. And we said that you need to understand who out there that they try to get you. This is, we talked about it in one complete lectures. And there is a lot of talking about threats, okay? And what tools the threats are doing, the threats they have to attack your network. But all what I can remind you about this part is threats basically is anything that can cause harm to your confidentiality, integrity, and availability, or even authenticity. So anything out there, whether it's an event, like maybe a catastrophic event, like a natural disaster, like earthquake, or maybe hurricanes or whatever, or maybe just a human over there that really wanted to cause harm to your very important assets, we call them threats. Okay, and we mentioned there are categorized based on their intention, or maybe they did something accidentally, or maybe from outside or from inside. So this is what we have discussed when it comes to threats. And we mentioned that the threats, they usually follow something called the threat vector to reach your network. So the threat vector is basically the path that they will do to compromise a system. For example, so if I have, if I know someone inside this company, maybe I'll give him a USB, and this USB does have a malicious file, and all what I wanted from this person is just to plug this USB inside. So I remember one of the attacks that I found very weird. It happened in Arsenal, the football game, the football team. If you guys know the Arsenal, it's an English football team. What they have, what the attackers sought to do. So back in maybe 2010, they put like a lot of nice USB, expensive one, in the parking lot. Okay, as like an advertisement for a company. And they put on top of this nice advertisement, nice USBs, a nice logo. So what the employees they did when they finished their day, okay, they went downstairs. They find the the USB in their cars or in the top of their cars. They take the USB, and the next day or when they got home, they started to insert these USBs inside. Okay, some of these things was funny and in the USBs, and the rest was like a malicious code that was running and infected everyone who took these USBs. So no one was really thought about this. It could be an attack or it could be a malware running on this, but it was an idea that the attacker used as an attack vector to compromise their football team. Okay, so this is another way. Okay, and we talked about vulnerabilities before. And we said that the vulnerabilities comes in so many flavors, okay? And vulnerabilities exist because basically we are relying on IT systems and protocols that's built back in 80s. So the CTCP/IP is built in 80s, okay? Most of operating systems that we see right now, it's built in 2000, but they are trying to make it better when it comes to securities, but we still have a very old operating systems, okay? And we do also have an application, which is when we developed this application, we didn't really look at the security part of it. So we can see from time to time, there's Adobe PDF security flows. I have shown you the WhatsApp recently as an amazing vulnerability, which is rated as 10, that will allow someone to remotely exploit this vulnerability. We have also OS vulnerabilities, operating system vulnerabilities. We have even hardware vulnerabilities. I have shown you guys in one of the lectures, hardware vulnerabilities that target the ARM processors and Intel processors and AMD processors. So this is all processors attack on hardware. So hardware, operating system, application running on this operating system, network devices and network protocols, everything is vulnerable. You cannot really, even Cisco recently, maybe a few months ago, they announced that some of their main routers are vulnerable for attack that will allow the attacker to take advantage of the whole router. So don't think that, okay, you know what, printers also are really could be used to attack your network. So any device you bring to the network, as long as it's connected to the internet or connected to the network, could be a foothold for the system. So the vulnerabilities, they are really a lot. And in order to really understand what vulnerabilities you have in your systems, you need to really to find out what systems you have first, okay, what hardware you have, what software you have, what operating system you have, what network devices you have, what printers, what application you have running in your environment. And accordingly, you start to look for the vulnerabilities. And we mentioned that looking at the vulnerabilities could be as easily as you can go to the website and say, okay, I have Windows 10 running on my environment. How can I ensure this Windows 10 is updated or doesn't have vulnerability? So maybe you can just go onto the vendor website and start to check for updates or check for the vulnerability for specifically operating system. Or maybe you can log into Exploit DB the website that I show you guys, that it's full of exploits, and you can look really look at the exploit in this website. Or maybe you can just run a scanner or a get ethical hacker to look into your system. So this is all ways to look at vulnerabilities. So if you don't know how to do vulnerability assessment, if you don't know how to do vulnerability management, okay, you know, you need really to get someone to do it for you. So we talked about ethical hacker and the white hat hacker in one of the lectures. We talked about also you can yourself do a vulnerability assessment. So you need to go and install one of this application, scan your system, make sure your system is make sure that the report is correct. So after you get the report of a scanning system, you start to review the report and see what is valid and what is not valid. And then once you find this vulnerability is really true, okay, and the true vulnerability combined with the threats, okay, you can come out with something called risk score. And the risk score is important because it really, companies doesn't have unlimited budget. They have limited budget, especially when you say, okay, I wanted this very expensive tool to, you know, batch the system, or to install update on this system, or maybe I found very important vulnerability and I need $1 million to do this. Okay, if you come up with 10 vulnerabilities, okay, you need to really find a priority. Which one is really can cause harm to your system the most? And that's why I told you the risk equation is important here. I give you this risk equation before. I found it in one box, and I found it very important to understand, and it will give you a score at the end that you can judge, is it important vulnerability or no. So the risk score here, I have talked about before. The risk is basically, first of all, what is the impact that will happen to my company if this asset is not there? So we talked about impact from reputational point of view and from my financial point of view. So this is the impact, okay? Also, what is the criticality of this system for my business? So criticality means, do I really rely on this business day to day to really achieve my objective? So for example, I have mail server, okay? How often we use the mail server, okay? How important mail for us as a company, okay? You don't decide the criticality or the impact. You basically ask the asset owner. You basically ask, for example, the asset owner in this case, maybe the company head, like the CEO or COO. Okay, how important is this email for us? Or maybe you can ask the head of sales team. Okay, how important the email for you? They can come and say, you know what, the email is the only way that we can communicate and send, you know, brochures to our clients. We really need to be having our mail server up and running 24/7. So the criticality, you don't decide. Okay, the impact, you can tell them, okay, what if the mail server is down for 1 hour? How much are we gonna lose money? Okay, if it's gonna down for 2 hours, how this is gonna impact our business? Okay, and they will decide how the impact. They can say it's a severe impact. It can be huge, okay, or it can be medium impact, or it can be very small. So this is give you an idea about the assets. So now, if I'm talking about the mail server, from interviewing with the sales team and the CEO and the COO, understand this system is very important, and its impact is huge when it comes. Okay, now it comes to your job as an engineer. You will do scanning for the system and try to find the vulnerability and trying to find how the score of the vulnerability. If you guys use Nessus usually comes and say, you know what, the vulnerability is considered critical, and we give it a score of 9. Okay, so this is an important vulnerability. And this vulnerability are related to these assets, by the way. So this vulnerability does exist in the Exchange server or the mail server. So this vulnerability for specifically this asset. So not only any vulnerability, this vulnerability we found it in Mail Exchange, and the Mail Exchange has a major flow, and this major flow is critical. So now you have to you understand the criticality of the system, you understand the impact, and by running the scanning, you find out why this is the system vulnerable or not. And then you can also look at likelihood. Likelihood here, guys, means does anyone in the wild say they have an exploit for this vulnerability? If they found out that someone has already figured out a way to exploit this vulnerability from remote location, that means the likelihood is high. Why? Because I have vulnerable system, I have someone out there, they can exploit this system, okay, and my system is connected to the internet right now. So now the likelihood is very high that someone will scan the entire world. There's so many, I would say, automated scanning tools that exist in the web. So someone can really scan a whole big range of IP until he found your system is vulnerable for this vulnerability and start to exploit it. So as soon as you have these all components, you can come up with a risk score. And again, if the system is critical, the impact is critical, the vulnerability is very high, let's come to the score. The likelihood is also high because there is a well-known exploit for this. Then you can expect that your risk here is going to be very high. Why? Because this vulnerability has been, if it's been exploited by a threat from outside, it's going to impact us and it's going to impact our objective, and we're going to lose money, lose reputation, lose maybe financial gain and all this stuff. So this is the risk, guys. And as you can see, if the impact is low, the system is not important, the vulnerability is low, and the likelihood is low also, then this is going to be a low risk. But again, as I mentioned again, you inform the management about the risk, whether it's high or low, okay? And then let them allow you to really allocate resources to really take care of the high risk. Why it's high risk? First, because this is what can really impact us right now. But that doesn't mean that you go in the low risk and just throw it away. This is wrong. You don't throw a low risk away. You know what you do? You monitor the low risk. Why? Because monitoring the low risk means that right now, okay, maybe the vulnerability score is low and the likelihood is low. But maybe in the future, this vulnerability already is gonna be a high score, okay? And some one of the threats they develop for this vulnerability and exploit. So the risk that was low at one certain point, it can move from low to high or low to medium. Okay, so the low risks you don't throw, you just monitor. If it stayed low and the company is okay that it stayed low and they will not do anything about it, that's fine. But if it's changed the status from low to medium, and this can happen, okay, anytime, because the vulnerability can be really severe, or maybe the likelihood for someone developing an attack is high, then at that time you really need to monitor the low risk and make sure that it's not going up. If it's going up, you should do something about it. Okay, guys, so far so good?
Yes, so far so good.
Okay. I'm just gonna also go quickly for the things that we said in week 2. I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm just trying to recap for 2 weeks. So just give me an excuse for this. So here, guys, what we said, that the best way to really implement security within the organization, don't do what you think it's right. Okay, do whatever is known is the best practice in the field. Okay, you are new. You don't know a lot, okay? For me, if I wanted to understand how to, today we will talk about protection for our mobiles. The first thing that I was looking at is what is the standard from NIST to secure mobiles. So I found this nice documentation over here. Okay, it's NIST publication. I couldn't really finish it all. But again, this is publication about, about what? How to manage the security of mobile device within your organization. You read this. This is NIST publication, special publication 800-124. This is a publication that's a lot of people in expertise in this specific area. They already sit together and they started to look at how can we protect our mobile phone within our organization. Okay, they started to look at the threats. Okay, they started to look at the vulnerabilities, and they started to give a protection techniques. So if you are not an expert, follow a standard. And that's why we taught you guys the NIST framework. So when you go to any organization, you need to implement these few core steps in order to really secure your organization. So if you guys allow me to remind you, the first stage is identification, and identification is all about finding your assets, okay? Understand the business environment. This is what I told you. You need really to read about the company, to understand what they do, what system is important for them, what is their objective, what they wanted to really achieve in the future. So this will help you in the interview, and also it will help you to understand what assets is important. Okay, you sit with someone, okay, they said we are relaying in mails and browsing the internet every day. So that's, you understand, this is the top thing for them. Some of the companies that I work for example, banking, they will say that, okay, our banking and client database is the most important because this is where we're gonna, deal and, our users or our clients will be able to withdraw money and deposit money. Some of the areas that I worked for is oil and gas. The oil and gas will tell you, the most important thing is our sales, how many barrels we produce, they have something called the upstream systems and the downstream systems and midstream systems. This should be also protected and all this stuff. So you need to understand the business environment. The governance is all about policies and procedures. We talked about policies and procedures also in a week 2. And I said the policy and procedures is basically a management control to express the management opinion about certain behavior within the company, whether how you use the internet or whether how a certain technology is going to be implemented, like bring your own device or whatever. Okay, and we said that management should show a really important stance when it comes to cybersecurity. So they should show it in a very proper way. And also we mentioned there's something called the due diligence and due care, and that the management need to exercise due diligence and due care, because if the management are not exercising due diligence and due care, the company would be under, under a lot of fines. And one of these fines, they can really go into the jail if they find the company is neglecting when it comes to protecting the information assets of the client and the customers. We talked about also risk assessment and risk management in the deep details. And then we said, okay, now you understand the risk, you understand your environment, you understand your assets, now move to protecting. Which protecting means preventing. Preventing means that you need to implement some controls, okay, identity management control, access controls. We talked about access control and identity management in a very deep details in the last few weeks. And we mentioned that in order to ensure confidentiality for the data and integrity and authenticity, you need to implement access control. And we talked about different model in access control, whether for authentication or whether for authorization. We didn't talk about accountability because I said the accountability will need it later on. And we talked about data security, and we mentioned in the data security, guys, that we need to protect our data, all the states of the data, whether the data is moving or whether the data at rest means it's recorded in a file or a database, or whether the data at processing time. And we talked about that we need to implement different controls, and the controls are management controls, physical controls, technical controls. And we talked about the categories of controls. We talked about there is a preventive control, detective control, corrective controls, and lastly, compensation controls. Okay, anything so far, guys? Okay, before we talked about the today lessons?
No, everything is clear.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So I think this is cover everything that we have mentioned. And I wanted you guys, inshallah, I'm keeping also talking about this over and over, because this is the way that I wanted you guys to talk an interview. So my style is basically to repeat this over and over until it's stuck in your head. Because I have some of my students, they usually go to interview and they come back from the interviews, they say, we exactly said what you have said in our lecture. Okay, and alhamdulillah, we got the job. So I wanted this is to be part of how you think about cybersecurity. Okay, so what we have to cover today, and then I will give you guys a break because I know that you've been now for 1 hour. So what I will do right now is we're gonna look at the content for today. So first of all, we look at mobiles, okay, why mobiles is becoming a really important assets within the information, within the organization, sorry. What data exactly the mobiles will have right now, okay, so this is also important. So this is what we'll discuss today, okay. And then why mobile protection is important. So we know that the phone is full of basically data, whether this data is private data or organizational data. So how can we protect our phone, especially our phone is can has physical attacks, like someone steal your phone, or logical attacks, someone install a malware in your phone and turn the phone to basically a spying machine, okay. And also we look at the mobile securities which come to threats and vulnerabilities. So this is we'll cover today, and tips to stay safe. I don't promise that we will be able to finish all of it today, but again, I will try my best, inshallah, to finish it as much as I can, and I will upload the rest for you guys to read. Okay, so far so good. Can we go now for maybe 10 to 15 minutes break, and then we come back to cover the rest?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, guys. So we said that it's now 10. So I see you guys 10:15.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I will try to send the lesson, Shaza, because I'm trying to upload it, but unfortunately, it's like a huge file. Okay, I'm not quite sure if it's gonna upload in Discord. Let me show you here Discord. Okay, let me see if I will be able to really upload this file, because it's a big file. I tried it to upload it before. It didn't allow me for some reason. Okay, let me see if I can upload it one more time. See, it will say me, oh, the files are too powerful. I never seen this. It's basically, it's saying the maximum is 8 megabytes. So I will try to decrease the size and send it over, okay? Okay, Razan, I'll try to save it as a PDF. Hi guys. Shall I say welcome back?
Yes, welcome back.
Yes.
Have you enjoyed the break? Okay.
Yes.
Is Maha here today?
Which Maha? Yes, I am here.
Okay, Maha, I just wanted to say congratulations. You are the champion for last week. Okay.
Shukran.
Okay, you're welcome.
MashaAllah, congratulations, Maha.
Yeah,
You
so
deserve
Maha,
it.
mashallah, she showed a lot of interest, and she
Thank
was very she was also very interactive in the session. So and also Sahar wanted to be here to really celebrate you that you're becoming the champion of the last week. So Sahar is showing you the SDA badge in the session.
MashaAllah.
Congratulations Maha and keep it up.
Yes,
والجميع إن شاء الله.
congratulations.
And inshallah, guys, as I told you, we have so many weeks, and there is a chance for everyone here to be a champion. So I wanted everyone to try his best to be part of this. And it shows that you are committed to the program, you're really interactive in the sessions, and also you try your best also when it comes to assignments and the extra assignments. So it's like a combination of all this together. So inshallah, Nawar, you will be one day, inshallah. I'm sure that mashallah, you're doing your best as well. So, and I know so many names, mashallah, they are doing their best. So, but I wanted you guys to strive more to achieve this title. Okay, guys. So we back to business. So the content of today about, as I mentioned, mobile security. And this is one of the publications that I was referring to you guys before. This publication is basically a publication from NIST, which is the National Institution for Standard and Telecommunication in the US. And what they think basically here, that we are really need to manage our security when it comes to mobile devices within our enterprise enterprise realm or enterprises corporations. What they were saying here is mobiles are really a very a powerful computing systems, okay? And they notice in the last few years, especially when the mobiles become more smarter, that a lot of enterprise and a lot of users within the enterprise started to use the mobiles, okay? And also a lot of users outside the enterprise, they reaching the system inside the enterprise using their mobiles and their also tablets and all the stuff. So they wanted to address that mobiles are great when it comes to, you know, mobility, when it comes to convenient, but also we need to also to really highlight the risk of having the mobile within our organization, because the mobiles itself does have a private data, so your own private data. And now when you get your mobile within your organization, now your mobile also does have the corporate data. So really it started to really becoming a threat or to becoming a risky. If someone exploit your mobile, they will not only reach your private data, like your pictures and your data, but also they will be able to compromise the enterprise data. And that's why NIST has already has a special publication, and this special publication is all about how to secure these devices within our organization, and that is very important. And this is the topic for today. And here in the executive summary, it's basically highlighting, okay, that mobility has transformed from just, you know, a device that we use in a day-to-day life outside the organization to a device organization now we rely on it within the organization really. And that's why they wanted to really address the risk of mobile device. So, but we just before we start to look at the threats, we need to understand what is the smartphone is all about. And the smartphone is so many things. So this mobile that you have, I would say that is more powerful than your computer, basically. Okay, so one of these devices within your network, and you don't understand what software is running, what hardware is running, what firmware is running, what network connectivity is running on this phone, can really lead to really a bad consequence. So if you guys wanted to see how the mobiles looks like from software perspective, so we have an application running, okay? So the application running in your phone could be actually a malicious application that you install, and this malicious application is spying on you. And there is so many incidents where we find a lot of application that is spying on really in the phone. I don't remember if you guys recall, there was one application called Viber, and then they said this Viber is actually collecting data about the users and sending to some certain servers somewhere in the world. So this is the application side in the phone. Okay, we have the operating system. The operating system, by the way, guys, is based on Linux or Unix operating system most of the time. So the operating system itself could be really vulnerable for attacks. So this is another thing that you really need to care about. Add to this the firmware. This is where the firmware is basically a special software that is written to load the operating system and to check on the hardware within your phone. So they found also firmware issues with the phones, okay, which can lead to compromise the phone as well. And we have the hardware also. The hardware consists of a lot of network connectivity. So if you guys look at the phone when it comes to network connectivity, we find that the phones are allowing for more network connectivity than any other device. So if we go here, it allows, for example, for Bluetooth connectivity. It allows for mobile broadband connectivity. So now you are connecting to the 4G network. The Bluetooth is going to be able to connect to other devices which they have a Bluetooth. NFC, near field communication, it allows you to really do some transactions on the phone. Okay, cellular or calling, this is mean that you are connected to the GSM network. So you basically, your phone, usually when you turn your phone on and you look at the network setting, you can find your phone is connected to 4 different networks at the same time. Okay, and that is opening the door also for attacks from external. So I would say that's putting all this together. Okay, so we said we have an application issues, we have operating system issues because it's based on Linux and Unix, and this is by default is not secure. Okay, and the firmware and hardware, and as I can tell you, okay, don't say okay, iPhone is more secure than Android. This is not the case. You can see in a lot of incidents that's iPhone right now, sorry, or Apple itself, it release new iOS every maybe 3-4 months, and this iOS is just meant to, because they find a lot of security holes and they're trying to address all the security holes. So don't say that, oh, I have Apple's, no one can be able to really hack my phones. Okay, adding to all of these vulnerabilities and adding to all this connectivity in the phones that can really become more than any other device in the world, you take this device and you come to the network or you come to your enterprise and connect this device using the Wi-Fi, and you become part of the network. And maybe you'll ask the IT guy in your organization to install the email application here. So all the emails that comes to you are stored in your phone as an email application. Adding to this, that your application here does have an application to access your bank, okay? And adding to this, another application that's access your all social medias, okay? So all of this made the phone like a main target for attackers. Why? Because it does now have a lot of information. It does have your financial data. It has sometimes your organization data, which is very important, because now we have an organization data. Someone is spying in you, can start to also spy on the company at the same time. It does have also your all social data, so all your pictures, all your, where you were. Okay, for example, there is also a very specific, I would say, IC chips for GPS. So someone can really understand where you are, where is your company is, okay, and where do you go. And there was very big scandal in a few maybe years ago about what kind of information Google Maps or Google tracks you, even if your phone is really switched off. So once your phone is switched off, you can consider that you cannot really, Google does not really knows anything about where do you go. But they found out as soon as they turn on the phone, the phone will save all the last location you were at before you turning on the phone, and as soon as you turn it on the phone, it will send all the new this information to Google itself. So the phone itself can be a tracking device. So putting all this together, adding this to that someone will take this device and connect it or to the network of a company, it opened the door for all of this attack. One of the things that also you need to really think about it when you have a phone. In your phone, you are an admin. What we mean by you are an admin, you as an owner of this phone, it allows you some admin rights to install some application. And a matter of fact, some of this application, it will ask you to have a permission for accessing the hardware. So if you install WhatsApp, it will ask you, okay, can I have an access for your mobile microphone? Can I have an access for your camera? So imagine if you are an admin, installed a malicious application, and this malicious application, it asks you to a permission for hardware, and you give the malicious application an access to hardware. All of this together, because you're an admin in your phone, you can connect even your phone outside the company. You go, you are in the company, you are connected to the normal corporate environment, which is basically your network environment, right? Let's say that you take the phone, you can go outside in maybe Starbucks or maybe in any coffee shop. You can sit here, and even if this Wi-Fi is not secure and it's showing an open Wi-Fi, you connect your phone here, okay, to this Wi-Fi. So even if someone in Malaysia is running this Wi-Fi, you will be able to connect to. So it gives you also a free connectivity. You can really make your phone discover in a discovery mode, and so anyone can see your Bluetooth and start to send data to this Bluetooth. And this was one of the attacks of Bluetooth, of sending a malicious files to your phone. So that's why when I was working in one of the organizations before, they said, we will not allow bring your own device policy. We don't want anyone to bring his disaster to our organization. Why? Because your phone, we don't know what kind of application you have. We have no control over what you are going to install in this phone or no, because we're not the owner of the phone, okay? The operating system, we have no control over it, because, you know, this is coming from the vendor, and you as an owner of the phone can say, you know what, I need to update or no. Okay, so it's up to the phone owner to update whether, but if we have like a Windows system over here and we are in the enterprise here, we can say, okay, every Tuesday, every month we will install the update. So we have a clear policy here to install updates and batch the system. Here, guys, I don't have this authority, because the the operator of the phone or the owner of the phone can say, you know what, there is an update, I will install the update, or maybe he can see this update is there for like 1 month and he didn't do anything about it. So your phone is vulnerable now because you didn't install the updates. As a company, I have no control. So I just listed to you some of the issues that we find out when we started to really use the phones. You guys understand some of these issues now? Are you guys following? Or you went to sleep already? It's too early to sleep. Okay, now we're saying yes. Okay, so basically, and that's one company. Some companies, they say, okay, we will not allow to have bring your own devices. Plus, if you are within our network, we understand what you are doing because we have monitoring tools. When you guys go outside the company, we don't really know what you're gonna do. We don't know what sort of application you install. We don't know which sort of updates you will miss. We don't know which network you will be connecting to. We don't know where you're gonna share your file with Bluetooth. So all of this make some company take very clear stand to really against bring your own device, bring your own device to enterprise. But why some companies, guys, are really with bring your own device, bring your own device to the company? So they allow their employees to bring the device inside the company. Why some companies will do this with listing all the threats of the mobile? Yes, one of the reasons is basically bringing your own device to your company. It will save the company money. So imagine I'm a company of 1,000 employees. Okay, 1,000 employees, I need to get them a phone or tablet. Okay, and this phone and tablet will be strictly used for work. Okay, let's say that the average phone now or the average tablet is $1,000. Okay, that is the average right now. I would say there's some devices will be more far expensive than this, but let's say it's $1,000, which is reasonable. Now, if I am a company right now and I wanted 1,000 employees to get 1,000 device for them, I will pay $1 million. Okay, this is $1 million. So the company will be cost $1 million. One thing you need also to keep in mind, okay, once I bought these devices, I need really to take care of the support for these devices as a company. So I really need to pay for a support contract of one of these devices, you know, malfunction, it doesn't work, I need to return it, take another, you know, another phone and all this stuff. So this is gonna be also costing me money. So the support and the cost of the phones is gonna maybe exceed 1.5 million. Okay. Also, you need to know, to keep in mind that every 2 years, okay, the company will need to change these devices, because these devices will not be after 2-3 years usable. You know that the phones can really last 2-3 years, maybe maximum. If you push it really hard, it's gonna be lost. So they will have a policy every 2 years or every 3 years to change. So every 2 years, 3 years, the company need to pay another $1.5 million for devices. That's why some companies are saying, you know what, bring your own device. We will configure your device email and you can use it, you use them the company, just to save the cost. But they don't see that with saving all this cost, it opens the door for so many attacks. And some companies are trying to balance between them. And I will explain how we can balance between them later on. But just I'm telling you what is the benefits. Another benefits, you are used to your phone. You can install application, a small email, exactly, bring your own device policies. Another thing that the companies they are really comfortable with is when it comes to you have your own phone, you're just gonna install 2 applications in your phone, one for email and one for our corporate environment. And because you are really, really used to your phone and used to application in your phone, it will increase your productivity and increase your mobility. So you can just, we give you like a small application in your phone, and now you are up and running to work for the organization without any issues. So this is also make the organization think about bring your own device, which is mobility and performance and also cost. Okay, but again, I mentioned what else also there is, with every single opportunity, there is a risk. So yes, bring your own device can save the cost for the company, okay, can really increase the mobility and increase the performance for my employees. But in the same hand, on the other hand, it opened the door for a lot of attacks, which is basically because the phone itself is not as sick, is maybe worse when it comes to security than even mobile, as in even a laptop or desktop. Okay, guys, so far so good. Any questions about this? Okay, and as you can see, this is the phone does have a lot of stuff to really look at. We have a Bluetooth over here. We have the cellular, which is basically the tower that we are connecting to it to get voice and data. We have near field communication. We have the SIM itself, which is also it stands for subscriber identity module. This is the SIM card. We have biometric authentication, okay, and we have the Wi-Fi global position system, which is GPS, that can someone track you, power synchronization cable, environment sensors. One of the crazy attacks that I saw before about mobile, it was basically done in airport, okay, when the people were used to bring their devices, and then they have a plug in the airport over here, okay, and this plug over here, they had like a cable hanging here to charge your mobile. Okay, one of the attacks that's once you are plugging a cable over here, you basically trust this cable to be part of your phone. Okay, and they manage, these guys who was running the attack, they managed to look for a certain exploitation on this mobile, and because they are now connected to the mobile, they managed to exploit the mobile and then extract the data. So even if you see a plug over there in the airport, make sure that is really a plug coming from the airport itself authority, not coming from an attacker who is running software in the back, scanning your phone for vulnerabilities. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to go through. Let me. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to go up all the way up so we can just. Okay, so what we mean by here, what we mean by mobile security. So mobile security is basically you need to really to implement or to protect your smartphone or tablets or even laptops, because laptops sometimes is used as a mobile, especially if the company allow you to bring your own laptop, okay, and other portable communicating device and a network they connect to. So again, we back to the definition of cybersecurity. When we talk about cybersecurity, we're not only talking about the device itself, we're also talking about the network that you are connected to and the operating system, guys. Okay. Also, mobile security has become increasingly important. Okay, because as I mentioned, a lot of users they bring their own device within our network, and because this phone is not secure, okay, and allows the user to install software on top of it, that means it's gonna open the door for cyber attacks. Okay. So why is phone now or mobile security is important? Why is phone is important? Okay, we are relying on phones and also in a very unprecedented ways. So we used our phone in a day-to-day life, basically for communication. Okay, basically also for sending messages, sending also social messages, also doing some emails, looking after our financial application and all the stuff. So mobile phones becoming really integral part of day-to-day life. Look at every one of you guys. Look at how many hours you spend every day on a phone. Okay, I seen numbers which is scary. I seen people are sitting on their phone 8 to 10 hours a day. Okay, and he's doing every single thing in his phone. So he's checking his bank account from his phone. You know, he has all his social media in his phone. You know, he's sending an email, receiving an email in his phone. He's taking calls and maybe using the phone for GPS directions. So the phone now becoming an integral part of us, right? Add to it that you add also the enterprise data on top of this phone, then you can do. I see people literally they are just walking with the phone everywhere, looking at the email, replying to email, making a calls. So it's becoming a really important tools we have. And that's what also the attackers, they started to notice, okay? And the number of people they own the mobile phone, that's a smart mobile phone, is increasing. If you guys look at how many, any graph that is talking about how many people used to have a smartphone 10 years ago, or how many people are using the smartphone now, you'll find around maybe 9 billion for smartphones exist. That means almost 1.5 phone for everyone. And that's why, because you find someone who has his own phone, tablet, and maybe a mobile. So we can see that, guys, that we are relying on phones in a crazy way, like it never happened before. Okay, so far so good. Okay, also we store very precious data on the phones. That means we store our company data in the phone and our own private life now in the phone, which is something I really don't recommend, to add all this stuff in a one device, and this device is not secure. And that's why you find a lot of cases right now of a spyware installed in the phone. Biggest is the one I showed you before. One of the very great example that's basically once it is installed in your phone as a spyware, it can start to really turn your phone to a spy tools. So it can spy in your SMSs, it can spy in your voice calls, and it can open the camera and mic on your phone without you knowing that it's running. It can look at your private data, which is basically your photos and your pictures and all your videos. It's, if you have an email application, this Pegasus will be able also to extract all the emails. So all of this in one device make it really, really interesting place for the attacker to attack. Okay, guys. Also, we need to keep in mind that there is also not only the attack. I have a question here from Moab, but does containerization reduce the risk of BYD? Very good question, says Wiam. I will explain what WIAM means. I think the only way that we can really really control the bring your own device is basically by implementing policy on this phone. Okay, how you implement policy to this phone? You need to really install something called MDM. MDM دوت GM. Okay, MDM is basically a server. Okay, and this server, guys, allow you to manage all the phones connecting to your organization. Okay, yes, mobile device management. The MDM, first, when you get the phone here, guys, and you connect it to the MDM, now you are the client. Okay, now you are the client, and the MDM server is the server. Okay, whatever policy is written in the server will be applied on the client. So I will give you an example. The example say that the administrator here decided to say, okay, you know what? The user, end user, they are not allowed, okay, to install any application. Once he write the policy here, this policy will be enforced on the phone, okay, even if it's your phone. Now the company have to say what you need to install and what is you don't allow to install. Okay, so usually the administrators you say what, you know what, I will allow WhatsApp, I will allow PDF reader, I will allow your bank system to be installed, but anything else I don't want them to be installed in your phone. Once the policy written here, your phone will follow. Why? Because your phone that is the client now of this management device or mobile device management server. Okay, another policy that I have seen it's applied, and this is what the containerization is all about, is saying that the administrator here, okay, can come to this phone and say, you know what, I will split this phone to two virtual phones. One of this virtual phone is basically gonna be user friendly, okay, and one is gonna be workspace. Okay, so if you are in the user friendly, do whatever you want to do. This is like a virtualization. Virtualization, I split your phone to two phones. One of the area in the phone is your user access area, where you can install any application you want. You can connect to any Wi-Fi you want. You can install any Bluetooth files from anywhere you want. So this is all up to you. And then I will create another virtual area for my work. So when you try to move from user to the virtual area, it will ask you for the user name and password. So now you are as if using a new phone. Now in the user in the virtual workspace, you will have only application that's related to work. You cannot install any application that's not related to work. You cannot connect to any network that is not related to work. So now we are splitting the phone using the virtualization technology to two phones. Who is splitting the phone? The administrator here, according to the management. I seen this is, and I implemented this before in BlackBerry. So we used to have two profiles in the BlackBerry. A normal profile for the user, let him do whatever he wanted to connect to the network. And I will create another profile, which is strictly used for work. No application allowed, no WhatsApp is allowed, because you know WhatsApp also considered also a risky application, because in WhatsApp, okay, you can be sitting at home and sitting at work, and someone send you a malicious file in WhatsApp, okay, and you can easily open this file and execute it, or you try to find out what is this file is all about. So again, I will not allow any application to be installed, only the application for work. I will not allow to, if you try to access the Wi-Fi, you will not be allowed to access the Wi-Fi. I will only allow you to access my enterprise network. And this is what is, I think, was meant by virtualization or containerization, right? Okay, I will wait you also but I didn't want to go to the MDM right now. But as long as you ask it, it's good that you ask. So this is what I meant by the mobile device management, guys, is how you really, you are not 100% giving the user all the discretion they want. I'm just gonna have some sort of control, and the control coming from the management as well. So the administrators doesn't really come up with this control himself. He goes and consult the management. What we should do when we have a device within our network, a mobile device like an iPhone or Android system or Samsung Pi. Okay, so this is always the MDM will be in between, and I see MDM is like holding the stick from in the middle. Okay, you don't go in the extreme and let everyone use his phone as much as you want within your network, because this will open the door for attacks. And you don't go to the extreme and say, you know what, I will buy all the devices, and you spend a lot of money buying devices. MDM is like you're holding the stick in the middle. Okay, you said, okay, you can bring your own device. I will take all the benefits. The benefits is I don't have to invest in new devices. But in the same time, if you bring your phone to my work, okay, then you have to follow my rules. I feel because this is like already holding the the stick from the middle. A mobile phone, as we said, it contains the private data and also corporate data right now. Also, one of the threats to mobile phone, which is really bad, is basically a physical security, because your phone, you can easily lose it. Okay, you can leave it in somewhere and lose it, or it can be, can someone steal it from you? So this is another thing that we didn't have in our, laptop and desktop that we used to have in our organization. So the phone now, okay, physically is under threat, which is basically you can lose it. Okay, so if there is no protection in the phone, someone will be able to open the phone and take also the data. Okay, or maybe, okay, someone is really targeting you because they know that you work in a big company and you have all your information and all the data here in this phone. So they target you, maybe you go to a coffee or something and they send someone to steal the phone from you. So this is also something that we didn't encounter before. And that's why implementing a very secure biometric or implementing very secure access control in your phone is very important. So, and that's why MDM as well, the server that I mentioned before, it can enforce policy. It can say, you know what, first thing, I will enforce 8 digit password, not only 4. Okay, I can enforce that if someone have already tried this 3 times wrong, I will really I will disable the phone. So the phone cannot receive any data anymore. Okay, if he tried 10 times, I will wipe the data in this phone. So I can create a policy that I already created a policy, something like this. If you first, because we had a user losing their Blackberries or iPhones all the time, and they come to the IT saying, we lost the phone. Okay, so what we do, if he said I lost the phone and there is no hope to get this phone, the administrator here, he will not wait the attacker to try, because waiting the attacker to try, if this person are really made a very easy password, he can manage to get to the data. So once he comes to me and say, you know what, this phone is being lost, I will go and do something called remote wipe. So remote wipe, if the phone is connected to any network, okay, or is still working, the remote wipe, he will get the remote wipe and he wipe all the data in the phone, whether private or like a company data. Okay, guys. So the MDM also is good in this. But I just wanted to highlight the physical security part of the phones, which is basically, it's important because you have now a device that can easily stolen or you can lose it easily. Okay, and there is a very famous case between the FBI and Apple. I don't know if you guys know about it. It was in the news that FBI found a phone for someone. They were suspecting he's an attacker, or he was suspecting he's a terrorist. So when they found the phone, okay, and the phone for sure it will contain all the data. The FBI, they wanted to really investigate the case, so they went back to iPhone, okay, or Apple, and they said, okay, you know what, unlock this phone, okay, because Apple, they do have a mechanism to unlock your phone, okay, especially if you prove your identity, okay. So Apple refused to do this. They said, no, sorry, this is gonna be like compromising privacy of our users, and this was a big fuss in the news. I don't know if it was big fuss or only like a scandal, but anyway. So what they did is FBI, they went to an Australian firm, okay, they are very, I would say very special when it comes to hardware encryption and how to really decrypt the data in the phone without having the the username and password, because the username and password basically is used for also encrypting the data. So they give the phone, they do hardware analysis on the phone, and they manage to extract the data, give it to the FBI. And then now Apple become very upset from this Australian firm and from the FBI. And it was a big in the news. I don't know if you guys have heard about it or no, but it was there. Anyway, they shows you that this example shows you that even Apple security is not as everyone saying that is okay, my data is protected. If FBI and some people are like really after you, they will be able to extract the data even without the username and password. So just keep in mind this. And that's why wiping your phone is important when you lose your phone. Okay, so also things that is really introduced threats to the phones is worms. Okay, because I said the attacker understand now more valuable device for them is not the computer, because the computer does have some information about you. Maybe you are using the Gmail to access your Gmail. Maybe you have an application for your bank account in your computer. But now the phones right now are replacing computers for all the functionality. And by the time, and with more application coming out, the phone really replacing. And that's why you can really live with your phone for days, and maybe you never touch your computer or your laptop, right? So the attacker understands this opportunity. Okay? And we mentioned the attacker, they do have something called tools to really exploit your privacy and to really exploit your confidentiality and integrity. So one of the tools that's really great for the attacker is basically malwares. Okay, so they started to really look at malwares and how we can create a malware that really can be infecting phone, not only infecting phone, also to be basically infecting other phones. Why? Because once the malware is infecting your phone, is really now it's opening a door for attacker to really go and extract all your very valuable information, whether it's a private information or whether it's a corporate information. So this is one of the tools for the attacker. Another attack that the attacker they love to do, and this is especially in the public places, guys, is to create man-of-the-middle attacks. Man-of-the-middle attacks means that you have a router, okay, and you have a wireless router here, and you have your phone over here, and the attacker will try to mimic or to come in between. So he will give you the he will compromise this link and becoming the link. This is what man-of-the-middle attack. And there is also very well-known attacks that happen in Starbucks, that the attacker will turn the laptops as a Wi-Fi access point and let all the people who use their phones or laptop or the tablets to connect to his basically Wi-Fi or to his basically computer, and he started to do. Okay, so Cesar, I'm sorry, Cesar, Ustaz Bassam, they saying the red alert has been identified as a new member in the Dragon family. Okay, so is the red alert? I'm sorry, is the red alert as a game? You mean? You mean
No, it's a virus.
It's a virus.
It's a malware. Yeah, it's a malware.
Okay. So there is so many malwares over there, and I'm telling you, today, inshallah, in the lab, it will be interesting, because in the lab today we'll teach you how to create a malware specifically for Android. And this malware, as soon as it's installed in an Android phone, if you convince someone to install this, because it will look like an application, once you have this application running in his phone, it will open a back door for you to connect back to his phone. So today we'll show you how easy, it's not 100% easy, but it's easy to create a malicious application that can be easily given to someone, okay? And this someone is, once he installed in his phone become like open a back door for the attacker. So we'll see this today, and we'll show you in the next part of the lab how, if you get an application from someone, how you analyze this application and understand if it's malicious or no. So malwares and and ransoms and Trojan horses and all this stuff. This is one of the best tools for the attackers. Why? Because the attacker doesn't really need to do much. He needs to trick you to install it, and that's it. Okay, we talked about man-in-the-middle attacks. One of the really also dark side of having attacks in the phone is basically to turn your phone to a zombie or or part of a bot. And this is, as I mentioned to you, if you install application, you don't know the source of the application, this is easily can turn your phone to basically a bot or a zombie. Okay, so you will tell me, how come this is possible? Because you know what? I download all my files, okay, or I download all my application, okay, from Apple Play or Google Play or Apple Store or Microsoft Store. So all the applications that I'm getting is from a proper store. You need to realize two things. First, Apple Store and Google Play, they scan the application, okay? If the application is really obvious, it's a malicious, they will block it, okay? This was not the case 10 years ago. So in one of the pictures here, I will show you that back in maybe in 2010, there was so many malicious application in the Google Play because Google was not really automated the process of finding if the application is malicious or not. So you can still till now, I have one study saying that 1 out of 10 application exists right now does have a malicious intent, and it really can grab user information. So this is not 100% sure that you are safe, because once you download the application, you know, Google Play and Apple stores, they will do their best to understand this application is malicious or not. But some of these applications are malicious, and you don't know anything about it. It will be coming here, stored in your phone, and start to gather information about you and send it to the owner of this application. So this is one thing they need. You need to understand something also called, some people, they are really fed up from this stores. Okay, they said, okay, this is restrictive and we have to pay so much money to install application. So what is the alternative solution? Is to do something called jailbreak. Jailbreak is basically, is you taking your phone and instead of you are connected to Google Play to install application, it gives you an alternative application stores you can install from. Okay, so this alternative stores does not have any kind of security measurement. So you said, okay, it's great. I don't have to pay any more for my application. I can get all this nice application for free, but this is come with a cost. When you jailbreak, okay, you lose also this scanning that Google Play was doing. Okay, exactly. You used to do jailbreak before. It's fine. I did it before also, but I did it in my you know, Apple TV. Have you guys seen Apple TV before? Apple TV is a device from Apple that can broadcast, and you know, you need to pay to watch all things that's in Apple stores. But I said, okay, there was a certain way to jailbreak it, and then you can connect it to another stores where you can watch movies and, you know, stuff for free. So this is back in the days. We were very young. I mean, 10 years, 15 years like this. Okay. So what we used to do is basically you disconnect yourself from the main Google Store or Google Play, and you connect it to alternative Google Market, and then you can install application. Most of this application, I will not say all of them, are really malicious. Okay, because why someone will create a very nice application, it's going to be for free. So you have to think about it. Some of them are really free and they are nice, but some of them are really malicious. So you have to understand that some of the application that we have on our phone is malicious. Okay, mobile spyware is really a trend right now, to the point that the mobile spyware, they found a mobile spyware in Macron phone. And this is the one that I told you guys before, the one that tracks Macron calls, that tracks SMSs and his WhatsApp. and they were saying that the Moroccan intelligence is one that behind the attacks, not the Israeli one. So you can really read about this, but to the point that this was really escalated in the news, to the point that the defense minister of France, they were sitting with the defense minister of Israeli, and they wanted to prohibit Pegasus using they don't want to Pegasus software to be in France or anyone, and they wanted to scan the entire. Yeah, so it was really escalating, because you know, if you find the head of your country is being spying on you using one of these Israeli spywares, this is a big deal. Okay, guys. Also, there is also a new trend of a malware taking over your whole phone and encrypt the phones. This is gonna be a ransom for your phones. So this is also a new trend. And basically, once they encrypt the phone, they will ask you also to pay money to get your data back. So this is also another. And this is what I was telling you. This is a company called Now Secure. Okay, they have this research back in 2016. Okay, they found out data from testing. They tested around 400,000 mobile apps. They found 1 in 10 apps leak private sensitive data like email, username, or passwords. Okay, so this is not like out of 400,000, around 4,000 applications, they are leaking data like username and password, and even your email address. So all your information. So this is also a bit scary to know. Okay, we talked about bring your own devices. What is bring your own devices means, and what is the benefits of bring your own devices for a company, and what is the bring own devices also risk, because I mentioned that's one of the risks of the bring your own devices, that the company have no control over this device. You can connect it to any Bluetooth. You can connect it to any Wi-Fi. You can receive emails, okay, while you are outside, and open these emails and open any attachment. You can get files in WhatsApp and open it, okay? You can install application, okay, in this phone. And with all these things together, it opens the door for attack. So if your phone is infected by spyware, okay, all the data that's in your phone, it will be basically with the attackers. Okay, so this is really, really a bad approach. And we said that the good approach is we will have the MDM server, and the MDM server will have some sort of security policy applied in your phone within your organization. This is, I would say, the best approach exists for BYOD. Some of the companies, right, really, when they are taking security really serious, they say, sorry, no BYOD. And I told you, when we went to the military, I went to a military institution so many times, they will take from you the phone, okay, once you are stepping inside the base or inside the government institution. They will say that we don't allow any phones, any personal phones to be inside, okay, because your phone could be a very, first of all, a tracking device, could be a spying ware running on these phones, so we don't allow it. Even big oil and gas companies, the one that's I know in UAE at least, it's called ADNOC, and ADNOC will not allow you to get with the phones inside the area where the rigs and gas equipment are running, because they said, you know what, we don't know really what's your phone, what is inside your phone, and maybe your phone actually a tracking device, or maybe you're gonna spy on our mechanism to produce oil and gas. So they will tell you to really leave your phone outside, even for their employees. They will not allow them to outside. So there is 2 approaches, or there is 3 approaches when it comes to bring your own device. Some of the company, which is really high confidential, they will not allow it. They will say, Khalas, we don't want this. We don't mind to spend money as long as we stay secure from all the threats that can bring. Some companies are okay. Bring your own device, we'll configure your email on it, and life is easy. Okay, and this is tend to be the companies that don't take security serious, or the small startup companies. They don't want to spend a lot of money. Some of the companies, they do some management to it, which is, I mentioned the server that we called it the MDM, where we apply security policies on all the devices here to give some sort of security on our phones. Okay, guys, we understand now what is bring your own device methodology. So far, so
Yes.
good.
Yes, it's good.
Okay. We look at the benefits of bring your own device. We already talked about it. Security challenges. This is the security challenges in general. What if you already configured the company important data on the phone and the phone is stolen or lost? Okay. What if the employee device get infected with a virus? What that mean for us as a company, especially if he brings his phone and connect it to our network? So is this virus or malware can be spreaded? What if employees unintentionally leak work data while using personal application? So unintentionally mean he didn't mean it, but he has one of these applications that is spy on your phone and it started to leak the data of the company. What if a hacker initiate a man-of-the-middle attacks and started to see the data going back and forth from you and the company, or maybe when you are sitting outside and he sees the emails and he wanna be able to see these emails? Unencrypted data transmission, jailbreaking employees mean that the employees one day decided he will jailbreak his phone. And you know, one thing that also you need to understand, guys, about jailbreaking, which is very important. Now, when you jailbreak your phone, okay, you are not receiving any updates from the Apple Store or the Google Play anymore. What that mean again? Okay, so I jailbreak my phone. I said, okay, I don't want Apple Store and Google Store to make me pay hundreds or thousands of dollars to buy application. I will go get my application from a free stores. So I will jailbreak my phone. So once you jailbreak your phone or tablet, okay, you are connected to this store. This store does not have updates. So your phone, if they figure out there is a security patch here or an important critical updates here for your phone, you cannot go back if your phone is jailbreak and download this update. You're completely now isolated from the official Apple Store and Google Play. So now your phone is more vulnerable for attacks. Why? Because you are missing all these updates. Okay, so we need to understand this also about jailbreak. So I would say don't do jailbreak at all, except if you really wanted to really do it for fun, to see what will happen if you jailbreak. But once you jailbreak, okay, you are not getting updates. And I mentioned all the stores out there that install free application, most of these applications are really malicious or does have malicious intent. So if you are keeping an important data in your environment, in your phone, it will be 100% stored. Okay, mobile device management system, the one I told you guys about here, is basically an application server, okay? That if you have your maybe an Apple phone or Android phone, okay, and or even a Microsoft phone or even a tablet, and you try to reach the resources here, the mobile device management, it will come here, and it will try to implement some sort of security before you connect. So one of the security measurements that I told you about is to create two profiles, profile for work and profile for your own personal space. And it only will allow you to connect to the logistics system or manufacturing system or accounting system once you are in this profile. If you are in this profile, it will not allow you to log in. And once you are in this profile, I will apply a very strict policy when it comes to username and password and how to log in. So it can, for example, can apply a complex password, can apply biometric for your access. Some of the mobile device management also will scan the phone for threats before it allow it within the organization. So some of these mobile device management come with a security antivirus that will scan the phone without before it allow the phone to really reach the systems. So this is, I would say, this is if in order to implement BIOD and you have some sort of security over the devices. Okay, guys, so far so good. Okay, moving on. Okay, Also, you need to understand that's also because you are dealing here with the users, okay? And the user are owning these devices. You need to do also some sort of management controls. The MDM considered at that case technical controls. Okay, the policy of the management is management controls. The awareness and the training between the end users is important because end user, they don't understand how dangerous is this phones can be. So you need to run between them at least awareness and training program. And especially when it comes to phones, they're saying that 70% of cybersecurity attacks are initiated by employees. The employees that they are in part of this attack, they call it insider attacks. And that is how important we raise the security awareness between them. This could be by training, by giving them administration, by showing them how dangerous to open even a file in your phone when you are using the phone, like or you install an application, you don't really know the source of this application in your phone. طبعا for sure that we can give them a demo that's they will go to install an application, and once they install the application, their phone is compromised and someone can spy on them and can turn on the mic. So this is a demonstration that you can give to the end user to increase the awareness. Okay, so in this picture specifically, guys, I wanted really to highlight what kind of vulnerability we are expecting in our phones. Okay, so they said that the vulnerability is huge. Why? That's huge mean, you remember we talked before about something called the attack surface. What is the attack surface, guys? Can someone remind me? Attack.
The attack surface is, you know, like the surface that you can be attacked on. So we mitigate it, so we make it smaller and harder for someone to go through it. Okay, mashallah.
Knife, right?
Nope, I'm Faisal.
Okay, this is I don't know why I'm keep saying knife. This is wallahi embarrassing. I'm sorry. Okay, so so thank you very much. This was a correct answer, guys. Okay, so what is the attack surface here means, guys, is a combination of all the vulnerability exists in the system. Okay, the more application you have in the system, the more connectivity you have the system, the more hardware and software you're running in the system, the more combination of attacks, the wider the attack surface. Okay, as we am saying. Okay, the larger the system and the service, the bigger the attack surface. Okay, and again, if we are trying to lower the service running and we're trying to lower the number of accounts running on these machines, we are trying to really lower the attack surface. So we're giving the attacker a very small chance to really attack and compromise our system. But the more we have, the more attack surface, it's really easy for the attacker to find one of the vulnerability and attack it. Think about the attack surface like a ship. Okay, this is gonna be our ship over here, guys. So this ship does have, sorry, this if I make this ship look silly, but okay, let's say that I have here a cannon or a shotgun, and I wanted really to shoot this ship. If this ship is this way, guys, it's easy to shoot because basically the attack surface here, okay, this is where the word attack surface coming from, is really big. I can shoot here, 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 here. But let's say that this ship is turning around, and now I can see only this part of the ship, okay, which is very narrow area, and I cannot really see the rest of the ship. So just to hit this only, okay, when we turn the ship in front of this cannon, just to hit in the front area, it's gonna be very hard for the cannon of the shotgun to shoot this area. And that is what attack surface is all about. It's a combination of all vulnerability that exists in the system. The more vulnerability, the more bigger the attack surface, the easier for the attacker to take an advantage of the system, of the server. Okay, so let's look at the phones especially. Look, the phone does have a browser. That means that you can fall against phishing attack, or click jacking attacks, or man in the middle attacks, or even buffer overflow, or data caching data caching issues. So just because you are browsing and going to the internet, someone can trick you or let you click a link that can take you to a compromised website. Okay. See, this is gonna be phone SMSs. We have this kind of SMS phishing attacks. We have also broadband attacks. Blaze band attacks. So this is, I'm not quite sure what it is, but it attacks only for SMS. The one I know for sure is SMS phishing. Okay, which is basically you win this amount, please click this link to get your money. Also look at this. When you have to look at the application when it installs, we have all this kind of attacks specifically for application. Some of the application, they are not doing a great job when it comes to encryption the data. Some of the application does not really allow you to insert a proper username and password to access. Some of the application can allow URL schemes and GBS spoofing. Okay, so some of the application will really leak the GBS location. Okay, side channel attacks. So this is all attacks. SQL database injection. Some of this application it allow you to inject code to the database stored in your application. So if you guys have ever done mobile, programming, when you develop a mobile programming for the first place, especially if you're gonna save the data, you need to create a database, and this database will also like a very small SQLite database that exists in the phone. And this SQLite database does have some information about you and your email and some data. Some of the database does have your password, and some of these databases are saving the password in the server like Facebook or whatever. But again, I have seen people, when they are trying to do security assessment for a mobile application, they will try to open the application and they will try to inject SQL injection here to see if they will be able to reach the database here or no. This can be also done in a web and also can be done in mobile. Okay, look at this also. We have, when it comes to systems, you mean the operating system, you have the jailbreak, okay, or no or weak passwords. Okay, this is also password and data accessible. Okay, so someone can access the password and data containers that has a password. Okay, so we can see there's so many attacks even when it comes to the system, to the operating system. Okay, guys. Also, denial of service attack is also here. So even your phone can be denied of service attack. I have also some videos because you are connected to networks. If you guys look at this, because you are connected to a network, you can have Wi-Fi, no encryption. That means someone is man-in-the-middle attacks. You can also connect to a rogue access point, thinking it's a proper access point. You can have someone packet sniffing your phone. I have done before an experience when I have my phone, okay, and I connected my phone to a proxy server, okay, and because I'm connecting to my phone to proxy servers, and I added the EVN for the proxy servers, okay, most of my data that's going to a proxy server, if this data is not encrypted, the proxy server will be able to see the data as a clear text. So this is one of the things that you should really worried about it when you connect with your phone to any Wi-Fi. Okay, if this Wi-Fi specifically is in public and there's no security, then you should be very worried because this guy will be able to sniff your data. Also, DNS poisoning, SSL strip. SSL strip means that even if you try to encrypt the data, and this guy is in between, he will be able to really strip the data from the SSL. And there is one very famous attack, it's called SSL stripping. Basically, it will be run on the attacker computers and mainly to decrypt the data between you and the destination. So this guy, even if you encrypt the data, will be able to decrypt it and see the data because he's a man in the middle. You have also GSM itself, guys, GSM, the one that we use for our phone calls. It's very, I would say, unencrypted. This is first of all. Okay, it's very easy to exploit GSM networks. Okay, and if you wanted to know how, there is a famous video on YouTube about they were getting a senator. Okay, he's making a phone call to his colleagues in another state, and because he's using a very old GSM network, they managed to penetrate this network and see the whole conversation on real time. Also, you need also to keep in mind that we sometimes our application, our phones need to connect to a databases and web servers, and also it will be also susceptible for all these issues in the databases like SQL injection, as I said, or it's going to be also an entry point for attack for a web server. This is all in just our mobiles. So you can imagine how much vulnerabilities we do have in our mobiles. And if you decided to allow these phones or these tablets to be inside your network, you really should look after all this vulnerability and start to take a proper action against it. Okay, let's just move on. Okay, so what we do if we have all this vulnerability, we know there is a threats over there that are really waiting for us really to compromise our network. So what we should do at that case? And the case, as I mentioned to you guys before, and I keep mentioning to it back again and again, the most important thing, after you understand what asset you have, like a phones, after you understand what threats is over there, what risk, what vulnerability in your phones, now you should start to look at the risk and try to reduce the risk. So one way to reduce the risk is basically by carrying risk analysis and try to find out what